Today, Singapore looks like a sci-fi city that saw the future and just built it early. But 60 years ago, a mosquito-infested island the size of a large city park, with no resources, no army, no water, and more problems than a math exam. So how did one man, Lee Kuan Yew, transform this tiny dot into a global powerhouse? Buckle up. This is the surprisingly entertaining story of how to build a country from scratch.
Because nobody, no group of men have got the will, have got the capacity to do more for this country.
You see, the whole of my adult life.
1965. Singapore is suddenly kicked out of Malaysia. Yep, kicked out. It's like being dumped by a federation. Lee Kuan Yew, the new prime minister, stands on TV crying, not because of heartbreak, but because now he has to run a country that nobody thinks can survive. Journalists call Singapore a hopeless nation. Diplomats say it'll collapse in a matter of years. One British official literally calls it a poor little market in a dark corner of Asia. And Lee Kuan Yew? He looks at the odds and says, "Watch me."
This is my country. This is my life. This is my people. You will trample over us, over our dead bodies. We dug our toes in, we built a nation.
First step, assemble a team. Not superheroes, but something even more powerful, technocrats. Goh Keng Swee, the economics wizard. Rajaratnam, the wordsmith who would explain Singapore to the world. Lim Kim San, the guy who could build anything, anywhere, anytime. This was the Avengers. If the Avengers solved problems with spreadsheets, their mission, turn a resource-poor island into a thriving nation. Impossible? Lee famously said, "There are no miracles, only discipline." Before you can invite foreign investors to your house, you clean it. Singapore's rivers were so polluted, they practically had their own personality. And trust us, it wasn't a good one. Hawkers cooked on the sidewalks. Pigs lived next to people. And the smell? Well, let's not. Lee's philosophy: first world standards. Even if we start in third world conditions, the government launches massive cleanup campaigns. Millions are spent on sewer systems, drains, public housing, and education. Singapore soon becomes one of the cleanest cities on earth. Some say Lee ruled with an iron fist. Some say he ruled with an iron mop. Either way, it worked. In 1960, most Singaporeans lived in overcrowded slums. So Lee taps his logistics mastermind, Lim Kim San. Goal: house an entire nation, fast. The Housing and Development Board, HDB, is born, and within 5 years it builds more apartments than anyone thought possible. Affordable, clean, safe, with running water and electricity, luxuries at the time. Today, over 80% of Singaporeans live in HDB flats. That's like if the entire population of a country lived in the world's most organized neighborhood. Lee looks at Singapore's resources and sees nothing. No oil, no minerals, not even enough water. Solution? Become valuable through brains, not stuff. Singapore opens its doors to foreign investment. Tax breaks, efficiency, zero corruption. Companies love it. Jurong, once a swamp, becomes an industrial megazone. The port becomes one of the world's busiest. Singapore basically said, "We don't have natural resources, so we will be the resource." This transforms the island into an economic machine. Singapore is a mix of Chinese, Malays, Indians, Eurasians, and early on tensions ran high. Lee's solution? Multiracialism as a core national identity.
Singapore is a meritocracy, and these men have risen to the top by their own merit, their hard work and high performance. If all the 300 were to crash in one jumbo jet, then Singapore will disintegrate.
Without them, none of you would be enjoying life today in Singapore.
Everyone learns English as a common language, while keeping their mother tongues. Racial quotas in housing prevent segregation. National service makes everyone equally tired. The result? One of the most diverse yet cohesive societies in the world. Ah yes, the famous rules. Littering fines. Anti-corruption laws with teeth. Chewing gum bans. Caning, the real kind, not the dessert. Lee believed that soft governance would lead to hard problems. So he created a system that valued order, discipline, and efficiency. Critics called it authoritarian. Supporters called it necessary. Whatever your opinion, you cannot argue with results. Singapore becomes one of the world's safest and cleanest countries. Next, Lee wanted the world to know Singapore as clean, efficient, trustworthy, exciting, but not too exciting. Singapore Airlines is launched. Elegant, iconic, profitable. Changi Airport becomes the gold standard of airports worldwide. The city markets itself as a finance hub, a tourist haven, and a shipping gateway. Lee doesn't just build a country. He builds a brand. When Lee Kuan Yew steps down in 1990, Singapore has one of the world's highest per capita incomes, world-class education, a thriving financial center, global recognition for efficiency. Streets so clean you could eat off them, but please don't. He didn't make everyone happy. He wasn't perfect, but he was relentless in his vision. Lee once said, "I have no regrets. I have spent my life, so what is left of it, here." From a swampy island with uncertain survival to a global superstar admired worldwide, this is the story of how one man, one team, and one very determined nation proved that size doesn't matter. Vision does.